Hello.
You're sitting in the same room.
We are sitting in the same room. Look at that. Oh my goodness. How did
Budapest.
I get so lucky? Yeah, Budapest.
What are you doing in Budapest, Brendon?
Oh my God. I just came here just to see you all. I'm doing classes. I'm doing a body class coming up this weekend, but man, I have a little bit of history here with coming here. I've been here quite a few times now.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I actually did my first solo choice of possibility class here in Budapest.
Really?
So it's kind of got that special, it's a bit of a special place for me because it was, I think it's funny that before this we're going, I don't know what we're going to talk about. So we'll see how we go. We'll see what we
You don't really know what we're going to talk about.
But I'll start with that part because that was one of those points. That was one of those points in my life where it was a real leaping off thing. And I had to get, I came here, I hadn't facilitated that many classes, and I got asked to do these choice of possibilities classes. And, I facilitated 2 with Gary, I think, or 3. I think I facilitated 3 with Gary and 1 with Dane, right? And then it was, all right, get out of the nest, go and do your own. And so I got to Budapest, and I had this class the next day, and I think there was about 50 people at it. And I was terrified, and was like, how did all the shit that we all have come up, right? Which is what a lot of us do to avoid a lot of the things in our lives, a lot of the things that we could choose is it's like, oh, what if I can't? What if what if I screw it up? What if I'm terrible? What if people don't like me? And I remember getting to that class that day, and the first 10 minutes of it, I sat on stage and basically cried, because it was this, for me, it was this huge amount of receiving, but also like I had this idea that I had to show up and be something for people. And when I got there and I was just really vulnerable, I was just like, wow, like welcome to my first class kind of thing, like not knowing what to say. And everyone in that room had my back. And everyone in that room was like, we got you, don't worry, we're here to support you. And I was just like, holy shit, that's why I'm actually doing this. And that's the world I'd like to live in. But I say that because, one of the things I always said was, if I can do it, anyone can. And we tend to have these things where we create so much of we create so much of our point of view about ourselves based on the way we can compare ourselves to others. That doesn't work. Okay. And from a lot of experience, what I've found is the only way I can find out what is true for me is questioning me. And we all do it. Like you'll look to other people and you'll be like, I even know when, we just had a meeting about different things when I'm like, when I look at things and go, oh, I couldn't do that. And I notice when that judgment comes into my world, that doesn't create anything, so it really is. I think we called this was BodyTalk, and
we don't know what you see how brilliant I was.
You were so brilliant with that.
See, we want to talk about bodies and talk, so we can just talk.
But I think, well, yeah, exactly. But I think the energy that just came up with all of that is getting out of judgment. Because who doesn't want that? And if you and like, who doesn't? Truly, like, it's like, wouldn't we all love to have a lot less judgment of ourselves, of our lives? And it's like, and we look for, I did this thing yesterday and I was talking about it. And one of the things that, one of the things I was talking about was a lot of people use that as the way to navigate their lives. You go with, what's the right choice? What's the wrong choice? And then, so this idea of having no judgment means, first of all, you've got a lot more choice. But second of all, you actually have to start looking at what's true for you. And that can be terrifying for a lot of people, is that thing of creating your own life, creating a life that actually works for you, one that you truly love. like one that you really adore yourself in. Like you're really grateful for you, and you're grateful that you're alive, and you're grateful that you have the people in your life that you do, and you're basically just grateful. That's a really different way to live. Are you just like updating your Facebook page?
Yes.
Is that what's happening?
I'm sharing to a group.
I like it.
You have to talk now.
Well, it's like
Brendon is talking because I'm shitty sharing.
Well, I'm just kind of talking until I get a real sense of what I can, what I can contribute to all you guys watching, and yeah.
Do you want to talk about bodies? Can we?
Sure.
I think all of you guys want us to talk about bodies.
Yeah, we can talk about bodies, and that's another thing that do we have some judgment of our bodies? What's it say?
You can talk, Nikolett. I'm sharing. Oh, okay.
She's sharing it.
So Eku, can you please share it in the Access Consciousness Europe group? That's what I was looking at, but I couldn't find it. If you would do that, thank you. And so then I can just focus on Brendon.
I know you'd left me for your phone.
Sorry. I'm trying to do my best to be a good host.
This goes a little bit like 8 million miles a second. So there you go.
I really want to talk about bodies, and I had a question to you.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you become a 3D body facilitator at the first place? What did it give to you, or what was the gift to you?
I love the space that it created, and one of the things I love about the 3-day body classes is they make no sense at all, and I love shit like that. I love the magic that we're actually capable of, and I've always loved that. Like I can sit here and talk and stuff like that, but I would far prefer to do things energetically and see what I'm actually capable of, see what my body's capable of, see what magic exists, like what question truly can create. And so I remember going to my first 3-day body class and just being like, it wasn't about what was said. It wasn't about what was done. It was really about the energy and the receiving. And that was a huge part, not only for the body classes, but that was a huge gift with beginning access in general. Like I remember my first bars session, and it was receiving was like, what does receiving mean? Because I'd learned it was about give and take, and when this girl who ran my bars, she was like, okay, no, you're just going to lay there like and do nothing, like, and I'm going to touch these 32 points on your head, and I'm going to, I can ask you some questions and use this clearing statement and stuff. And it was the first time that I had someone truly there that just desired to contribute to me. And I remember that session because once again, I'll tell you another secret about myself. Apparently I'm a crybaby. I cried that whole session, and it was just this release of, wow, I don't have to hold on to all of this anymore, and I don't have to have all these walls and barriers up. And I think that's one of the gifts with these body classes is it's like you finally get 3 days where you actually get to receive. That's very different.
For me, the first 3-day body class was so weird because I've never been to one and we haven't talked. So I was like, excuse me? What are we doing here?
You should have seen me facilitating my first one. I talked the whole 3 days, and I was like, I'm really going to have to learn how to shut up.
And it was really, so for me, that was the weirdest thing. Just being there for 3 days, and I was like, that's what we're going to do for 3 days, not talking. And I think the title was Brilliant Body Talk because my body was talking. I remember after my first session, I went to the bathroom and then my nose started bleeding. And I was like, what is this? I never had that before. So it's not like it happens to me, I don't know, every 6 months. No, it never happened to me before. And I was like washing my hand and it's like, tick, tick. I'm like, hey, what is this? So I run back to the room and I'm like, hey, Andrew, something is wrong. My nose is bleeding. He's like, yeah. And I'm like, your body's changing, isn't it? And I'm like, oh, maybe. And your body can change in the weirdest ways, and really weird stuff can show up. I mean, it's not usual that people has that in the body class, but like for me, yeah, I had many weird stuff going on with my body changing during those classes.
Yeah, and your body can change in the weirdest ways, but also in miraculous ways. Like I look back over just this lifetime, you know, in this body, and it's been like, wow, it's been very different. Completely, it's like I've had different bodies, because every time I'm at a new point in my life, you know, and I get through something different, my body shows up different, you know, and we tend to ignore them quite a lot.
Yeah.
So that thing of like body talk, like actually learning how to listen to your body is not only such a contribution to what you can receive with having a body, but it's also a contribution to what you can create as your life. You know, and I see where I've done this so much too, where it's like, well, in order to create, you know, and we look at, well, what is creation? For most of us, we'd look at that. Will it be about having money? It'd be about business. It'd be about relationships. No, it's actually about choice. But then we look at that and we go, well, you know, taking care of my body and actually having that relationship with my body is taking me away from what I'd actually like to create. But it's actually, it's the opposite of that. It's when you actually include your body, everything in your life starts showing up different as well. And a lot easier. And that's that whole thing with receiving. That, you know, I know for me, when I include my body in anything, like when I actually go, okay, I need to have something different with my body here, something different in my life changes also.
I remember when you showed me that picture of yourself like 3 years ago, and you were like not chubby, but like bigger than now.
I was chubby. I was fat. I was.
No, so Brendon showed me a picture of himself.
That was like 5 years ago.
He's like, look at me 5 years ago. And it's, you know, that's the other thing is your body changes. And when you get more conscious, you have less judgments, and you have more ease and relaxation in your life, then your body changes big time.
Well, yeah, and you also start getting to create your body the way your body would like to be created. I know for me, that photo, actually, the photo that you're talking about, I was killing my body. You know, when I look at that photo now, I see the death in it, you know, and basically everyone knows now, because I've talked about it on everything. If you don't know, you know, I had a real struggle with alcohol my whole life. And, you know, and it was something I hid from the world. It was something I hid from me. It was something I hid from. I didn't want to look at it with my body, but I knew it. You know, I so knew it. And, you know, I remember going to the doctors. It must have been like six years ago, I think. And I was in Australia, right? I just flown home from Costa Rica, and I was sick, and I knew something wasn't right. So I was like, I'm going to go to the doctor. And here's what I used to do with going to the doctors, right? I don't know if anyone else has ever done this, or maybe you've done it in some other area of your life, but I wanted to go to the doctor so that he could tell me I was okay, so I could keep ignoring what I already knew was going on. I knew my body was dying from alcohol. I didn't want to know that, so I was going to the doctor to try and get him to tell me that it wasn't. And I remember going to the doctor this day, and he, you know, he ran these tests and stuff, and he's like, how much do you drink? And I was like, oh, you know, like not much, like, you know, lying to this guy and lying to myself. And when I got the results, you know, and he was like, basically, look, you need to change something here. Even with that information, I didn't want to change it. You know, and I knew I was dying, and I would ask my body and realize this, but it wasn't until I got to the point where I actually desired to live that my body started changing. I bring that up because for a lot of us, how much do we hide that awareness that we have with the way that we're creating our body? We hide from the points of view that we actually have, thinking that if we were to expose that to ourselves, like, oh, you know what, I think I'm going to be really old and saggy when I'm 50, or I think I'm going to have, you know, there was heart disease in my family. I think I'm going to have heart disease. And we have all these different points of view that we hide from ourselves. It's the hiding it from ourselves that doesn't allow us to change it. And that's the thing that was really killing me, was the lies that I was telling myself. Whereas here's the thing with this body talk, is if you're actually willing to get present with your body, bring all that energy up and go, wow, man, I've got this. I really have a point of view that, you know, I'm going to turn out like my mom, or I'm going to turn out like my dad, or I'm going to have all these things show up in my body. Without allowing those to come up. And once you do actually allow them to come up, then you have something to work with. You can actually begin to change it, which is kind of counterintuitive. We kind of hide the shit from ourselves that if we didn't hide it, would actually allow us to change it.
No, I'm just thinking, because I had issues with the alcohol. So
people
are asking, can I say something?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
Szóval csak azt szerettem volna mondani nektek magyarul, hogy lesz felvétel, az Anna felveszi a magyar tolmácsolást, és fel fogjuk tölteni nektek legkésőbb holnap egy YouTube-ra, úgyhogy ha esetleg nem fértek be, akkor vissza tudjátok majd hallgatni a felvételt, hogy ne izguljatok emiatt.
What did you say?
People were asking about the Hungarian translation. They couldn't fit in the Zoom. Yeah, because it's more than
now you're getting hungry. So amazing. You didn't understand a word of that, so that was good.
No, many people understand, but some not. And they were asking about the Hungarian line, but then we're gonna have it handled. Don't worry, guys. And you know how fast we are. So
you are.
Yeah, we're gonna put it out.
Facebook lives are just so interesting to me. You know, because you get on and you start talking. Well, it's like, because a lot of us, we it's just kind of like this, all of this energy kind of comes in and you're just like, okay, where do I go? Like, what am I talking about? Where am I finding these different things? And it's like,
what I like about Facebook Lives is you can talk about anything and you just just follow the energy.
Yeah.
And don't worry, it has no structure or anything to it. I think just sitting here, it's good. Don't you think?
I do. I agree. I like your point of view. That works for me.
I really like what you said, though, about you having issues with alcohol, because I told you I had issues with alcohol, and it's gone. I used to think that it's not even possible for me to change this. So, like when I was like having lunch with friends, I couldn't imagine myself not drinking a glass of wine.
I couldn't either.
So I was like...
Or 10 glasses of wine.
Oh, yeah. Yes. And it's just so interesting to see that it's gone, and how, like, you know, how amazing my body is, because I was smoking for years, like a lot. I was drinking every single day for 10 years, I think.
I outdid you on that.
And then I had the drug problems for years. And my body still look pretty good for that. And, you know, that's how it's like so amazing how much your body can change and prepare. And I don't know, it's just really cool. And for me, all these, so one more thing that just popped up, sorry, but that is that I always hated my body. I always thought that my body is wrong. I wasn't looking good enough, like my butt was too big, blah, blah, blah. And I always had something going on with my body. And it's so amazing to just realizing with these tools and then having these body classes, I'm getting to a point now after 7 years is, what if my body wasn't wrong? What capacity it has that I never acknowledged before. And even like a year ago, when I had something in my body, I was oh, it's wrong. It's not okay. Why is that? I hate this. I can change it. And it's all this crazy came with it. And now when I have some symptoms or something like, or those old things just comes up, I'm like, hey, what is good about this? I'm not getting, what is this? What are your body trying to do or tell me, or, you know, like, how can I change that? And I have so much peace and ease with my body than I used to.
Yeah. And that's what I'm so grateful with Access, you know, and it's all the tools that we have that actually allow you to change this stuff now. But if we look at that, for example, that thing that you said about hating your body, if we got really honest with ourselves, you know, and if this was really, this has become one of the most valuable things in my world now, is honesty with myself, which is interesting because it never was before. One of the most valuable things to me was, how can I hide from myself everything that I don't want to see so that I can look right to others, you know, or I could appear however I need to appear in the world. But that honesty with self, if we looked at that, and you could actually look at it and go, wow, I actually hate my body too, or I hate this about it. And I hate the way it's aging, and I hate the way this shows up, and I hate the way I can't change this. And I hate. Bring that energy up, right? Is now we can actually change it again. We have the tools to change it, but it's the avoidance that we have of it. And also the judgment. Once again, that judgment. Isn't it? The other thing that's interesting to me with this is we're the only species on this planet that actually does this. You know, you don't see a cat walking around hating itself, or a dog walking around hating itself, or a horse walking around hating itself, judging. But it's the destruction that we use, not only to kill our bodies, but if we also took a bit of a bigger view with this as well, and went, wow, what if I treated my body the way that I'd like to be, that I'd like to have our earth show up as well. Like, we took it, they did this thing, they've done many scientific studies and stuff like that as well, but they took this plant, right, and they did this study where they directed hate at this plant, and then they directed love and kindness at another plant, you know, similar setup. That plant with hate directed at it, and we're just talking the energy, hate directed at it, died. The one with love and kindness directed at it thrived. And if we looked at our lives this way, is judgment destroys, judgment destroys, judgment destroys. And the thing with that is we get more of what we focus on. That one thing alone. And I know it can sound, kind of like too easy, but also it's like, it almost becomes this kind of throwaway. And I notice that energetically when I talk about like truly getting out of judgment, where it's like, yeah, that'd be great. But if I did that, like, you know, like I'd be really different and I would know what, you know, and it's like, no, but what if you looked at your life like that? You know, because I know for me, when I go into it, I'm like, okay, what is this? What do I do with it? You know, can I change it? And if so, how do I change it? Because I know now that judgment does nothing but destroys us.
Wow. No, I'm just having a moment realizing how much judgment do I have about my body. Like I told someone the other day, so what I was doing even a month ago, I would wake up in the morning and I would run to the bathroom to see myself in the mirror if I gained weight or not. Because when I was doing this fitness challenge and I lost a lot of weight, and I was like training 7 times, like 7 weight training and 7 cardio in a week. So 14 times I went to the gym. And then afterwards I was like crazy. Why? I was aware of everyone who were doing that.
Yep.
All the judgment from my trainer and everyone around me. And then I kind of get to the point where I had the point of view that every food I would eat would kill my body or just bad for me, and I would get the weight back. And I was like, I can't live like this. Like, that's not okay. And I had like 6 months getting back where I am at right now. But I woke up every morning and I was going and like look at my weight, or look at myself in the mirror, and I was like, no, I'm bigger than I was yesterday. And I was like, at some point, I was like, how much energy I put in to judge my body. If I would use that energy to create my life, what would it be? And I was like, wow, that big time. So I'm using this to just limit myself to think about my body all the time. And I'm like, I should just leave my body alone.
Yeah. And you've had it's been way easier.
Oh, yeah.
With that. But that also takes a level of trust with yourself, because it's one thing to, you know, that thing of, if we looked at that, for example, where you said, you know, I was aware of the trainer's points of view.
Yeah.
I was aware of everyone in the gym's points of view. Is if we looked at this thing of how do you get out of judgment? Well, what if, first of all, we went, how much of the judgment was never mine to begin with? And if we looked at that and went, oh, because I know, see, for me, you know, I talked about the thing with the judgment of alcohol, the judgment of what I was creating with my body. I grew up with that. Mm. So if we looked at, if you take, you know, we tend to have same, but different kind of big things that seem to create the limitations in our world. Like someone might have a lot of ease with their body, but just be totally screwed up financially, you know, or they might have ease with finances, but they cannot create a relationship. Or, you know, so, and we will have like those bigger things where you're like, why do you have so much ease with that and I can't? Well, what were you entrained to growing up? How much was your conditioning and how much were you aware of all of the points of view that other people had with that? Mm. So this is where, once again, Access is so brilliant, because it's unwinding you from all of these things that you've got as points of view that are creating your life that were never yours to begin with. Mm. You know, I know for me, I grew up with a lot of people that had no real connection with their bodies, but also with the earth. Mm. And that's the other thing that I find for me is when I'm willing to have more communion with my body, I have much more communion with the earth, which is really, you know, nice.
Wow.
I mean, I went swimming here today, which was just amazing, because I was just like, well, see, for me, I do that thing of, I've got to create, let me ignore my body. And I just got to a point today where I was like, I need something different, you know, and I've done that thing as well with the gym. Oh, I'm going to go and use the gym. And my body doesn't really want to do that. My body wants to be in water. And I know that much because I'm basically like half dolphin. You know, so I went to the pool and I just started swimming here, right? Doing swimming laps. And I didn't stop for an hour and a half. I swam 70 laps at the pool. And I was like, okay, apparently I wanted to swim. You know, but even in that, like, what else can we be choosing with our bodies? Where are we, you know, creating the excuse of, oh, well, can't do that. I don't have time, rather than what could I actually choose that would be joyful for me, that would be a gift in my life? When we're lazy.
We always say that we don't need when we're lazy. When we are lazy.
Yeah, but you didn't grow up with anyone who was lazy, right? You weren't aware of that as something that other people used as a way of avoiding things. You know, so yeah.
My life stops when I stop moving, and it's not working for me. And you know, I remember when I was doing this fitness competition thing, and I got together with Maya, and she told me, wow, because those weeks were when I was going to the gym like 14 times a week. And she was like, how do you do this? And you were working and all of that. And she said, your body likes it. Your body needs this. You are like, because I'm always on the go.
Yeah.
I never stop. And she's like, I guess your body likes that. And I realized when I'm not moving for like 3 days, my body starts to get weird and hold back the water, and I can't sleep well. And as soon as so for me, if I go to the gym, my body's so happy. Yeah. Weights, big ones.
Big ones.
But really big ones, yeah. But not everyone. Some people just wants to relax, want to do Pilates, or wants to do yoga or swim or walk or just be.
Well, if we looked at, I mean, if you looked at each and every one of us as being unique, you know, and I talk a lot about each and every one of us on this planet, is we might have similarities, but are completely different energetically. We're each unique beings. If we looked at our bodies that way too, you know, we've got 8 billion people on this planet, roundabouts, 8 billion bodies, but we all do this thing of what is everybody else doing? How do I be in comparison, not only with my life, but with my body? What if you went, you know what? I have no idea what my body truly desires. What would it be like if today was the day that I began to discover it? And that could be because you're like, you mean anything? But it would be, but the thing with that and the way you'd have to get there is you'd have to actually be willing to be present. And that's the thing for a lot of us, what we've been living in a world and learned to live in a world that's based on autopilot, basically. How do I not be present? How do I get everything else to do it for me? Which is all basically there's a computer program or a machine for pretty much everything now, lucky us, but it's like, so what if you went, okay, so for today, I'm actually going to start getting more present with my body. And I'd actually like to show you guys that, because I don't know if you've done it and talked to people about it, but the connection point exercise, where basically, and you go on, when you want to get really present with your body, it's about finding 3 points of connection between you and your body. Okay. So first one is what you do is put your hands on your tummy, and you want to feel your tummy on your hands, and you want to feel your hands on your tummy, and just be like, just feel it. Now, if you're sitting down, feel your bum on the seat and feel the seat on your butt. And now feel your feet on the floor and feel the floor on your feet. And just take a couple of breaths and just notice your body, and if you've got pains or like, any injuries or stuff like that in your body, just like kind of notice it, and then just be there with your body for a moment. Now begin to choose again from that, so it's not, this is where it's kind of like what I like to look at it as, it's like adding a reset. And if you had to have, 100 resets throughout the day so you could actually get present, that alone is going to change your awareness of what's actually true for you. So that in question, and actually going, oh, okay, like what if it was, because as a kid, like, as a kid when you just wanted to eat ice cream for dinner, but you shouldn't. But, you'd see a kid who's like eating ice cream for dinner and they're just like so happy and they're like, oh my God, I should be eating my vegetables, but I'm eating ice cream. Do you ever even give yourself that freedom with your body? Like sometimes don't you just want to eat ice cream for dinner? But no, you can't, because that's bad and it's got all these calories and blah, 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 blah. That point of view alone is going to be the thing that doesn't allow you to have joy with your body. So this is where it really is like, what if we took a completely different view of the way we could be with our bodies? And today when I went swimming in the pool, I'll just tell you this part because I know that people will kind of relate to this, is I did not want to. I was like, I am so fucking cranky right now, and just like not, when you just don't really feel like you, and you're just like, yeah. I was like that, and knowing that the thing would get me out of it would be swimming, but I didn't want to do it. If we look at that, is how many choices do we make that we don't feel like doing that are the exact choice that's going to change it?
Really?
Oh yeah, because you want me to tell you why?
Why? Because
most of us have spent our lives avoiding joy, avoiding happiness. It's like, look at the world around you. What would it be like if you knew that you could choose to be that different? You could choose to create a life that truly was joyful for you. And I know for me, and I can say this because I know it to be true for me and a lot of other people that I've worked with, is if I'm doing unhappiness, there's something about it I love. If I'm creating upset with my body, there's something about it I love. If I'm creating the things in my life that keep showing up over and over, there's something about it I love. Now, so many people resist that. But if you're willing to have that honesty with yourself and go, oh shit, he's right, I do love it because it gives me an excuse to be normal like everybody else. Once again, then we have something to work with and you can actually change it.
Wow. So can you repeat it one more time? So when we have that sense, like have that thing that we don't want to go and do things which would actually change something.
Yeah.
That's because we are avoiding.
We're avoiding being as different as we actually are, and you know, being happy, being joyful, being free, being successful, being, you know, which is kind of counterintuitive. And you would look at that and go, no way, yes way. You know, and I've had to look at this. Like, I remember when I first found this thing with money, where I couldn't create money, right? It was just an impossibility in my world. And I went, wow, what do I love about not having money? And I started asking that question, and I went, and see, for me, what I realized was as long as I didn't have money, I could avoid having choice. And there was other different things that come up, but then I could actually change it. And I say this because here's the thing: when you're willing to get out of judgment, is you can bring all of these things up, because what if that wasn't bad? Once again, you know, using myself as an example, I grew up with that. I thought that was the way you were with money. Why would you love it? It's evil. You know, it's like everyone else thought it was evil. I think it was evil too. But it's like, if you didn't judge anything that came up in your world, if it wasn't about the wrongness of it, then you could actually have some freedom with changing it.
Wow. Wow.
And there was one other thing that, it's another question with things like, since we're on the whole body thing. So if you've got something showing up over and over and over again, right? What do I love about this? Next question is, for like with sickness and tiredness, if you've got that showing up all the time, first question is, okay, what am I sick of? Oh, you know what? I'm sick of working all the time. I'm sick of my husband, that asshole. I'm sick of my wife. I'm sick of my kids. I'm sick of my job. I'm sick of being alive. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this. Allow that energy to come up. And then if have you used the clearing statement on here?
You do whatever
I'm going to use it anyway.
live.
It's my live. Okay, good. So then we've got this access consciousness clearing statement, right? Which is right and wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, all nine, shorts, boys, perverts, and beyonds. You can check that out at theclearingstatement.com. But basically what it does is it's about bringing the energy up and the points of view that you have with it, and then undoing it. There's a very quick explanation. So you would bring that up, right? And I've done this many, many, many times as well. Like, say if you're getting sicknesses, okay, what am I sick of? You get an energy comes up. I'm fucking sick of this. Okay, everything that is times a godzillion, right and wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, all nine, shorts, boys, perverts, and beyonds. Same question with tiredness. You know, I get this quite a lot where I'm just like, oh, I'm tired. I've got no energy. Okay, what am I tired of? Oh, there's that thing that I don't really want to look at. I'm kind of tired of avoiding this part of my life that I don't really want to change. Okay, cool. Wow, that brought up some energy. Everything that is, same thing. Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and poc, all nine, shorts, boys, perverts, and beyonds.
I'm always tired of my choices, I guess.
But notice that.
Yeah.
Notice that. So it's like, isn't it interesting though? Like, even if that wasn't wrong, because see, then what I notice, even when you say that, is it's like that opens it kind of cracks the door where you're like, huh, what choice am I? You know, and it begins that thing of allowing you to actually start unraveling these things that basically we use to compress our worlds. You know, so we can live from no space, so that we can live from limitation, so that we can live from no change, like yada, yada. It's kind of a big thing to get into, I realize, but it's like, what if you were far more magical and had far more capacity with ease, with joy, with creating a phenomenal life? Then you could even begin to imagine, and what if we've been looking for it all in the wrong places? You know, because there's that thing too, is I know for me when I'm like, gee, I could talk for hours. So just give me a topic. I'll just talk.
Don't worry, I know. You know, guys, I don't stop him talking. I know him. He just talks. I needed one question to ask, and then he just keep going. And I talk so much on my own page.
Right.
that I think
well,
people
I'm about,
would listen
I'm
to
about
you.
done talking. So
and I'm coming next week because I will have a three morning session with them about healing. So I just let you talk.
And now, well, I was just reading these.
If you don't mind, guys, I just let him talk, so I don't talk today that much. I would just ask questions.
I want to just, yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
But I'm just looking at these.
This is your live on my page. Don't worry.
So there's people on there asking questions. One of
Yes.
them is, how do you know the actual moment when you make a right choice? Well, I would say stop trying to make the right choice, you know, because once again, that's looking for how do I create the judgment so that I know that I'm finally getting it right? What if you looked for the choice that's actually going to create more? You know, and the way you do that is, first of all, I'll give you the biggest tip on this for me personally is be willing to get it wrong. You know, be willing to make the choices that are going to give you the awareness so you know what's actually true for you. And that's you know, that's a journey, but recognize first of all as an awareness that each choice you make creates an awareness. So if you make a choice and it doesn't work out, okay, cool, that didn't work. Now what choice can I make? What awareness did I get from this that would empower me to create something greater now? I mean, I've made like quite a few choices that were very interesting.
Yeah, what Dane always says is he made more wrong choices than people choices.
Yeah.
And
well, and look at his life though.
I know.
You know, and look at the awareness that he gets. He's gotten there based on the willingness to choose. And if you want to, you know, I would, if any, you know, how do you have a big life? Choose, you know, and choose and choose and choose and choose. But it's the thing that's going to allow you to create and grow and actually find out who you are is by the willingness to choose it.
Well, I love what you just said, because we just had this moment the other day with the business that we don't have this protection anymore.
Yeah.
That we used to feel that we have, but we didn't have.
Had your safety, you had your comfort zone.
Yes, but we don't have it anymore. And we got to this point where we don't, it's just nothing solid anymore.
Yeah.
And this is how you create a big life.
Yeah, well, that getting out of control is a huge part of that.
Yes.
You know, because you can, and I think we can all relate to this as well. We can relate to this with any area of your life. If you look at it and go, okay, any area that I'm not, you can only have the life the size of what you can control if you need to do control. So what do I mean by that? It's like, well, notice if there's a certain amount of money that you get to, for example, where it's like, that's kind of my comfort zone. You know, I can control that. I know what it is like to have that amount of money. That's where I'm comfortable. That's where I exist. Anything beyond that is kind of almost just unfathomable. Yeah, well, it's unfathomable because we can't control it. So as you're willing to give up control, and how do you do that? Well, by asking, you know, what's it going to take for me to be out of control here? And then we got other tools and stuff on that too. But it's, you know, with you, for example, with the way your business went, you had to be willing to get out of control or it wouldn't grow the way that it did.
Yes, I know that. I had a couple of moments when I realized, you know, one thing was really awesome during COVID when we had all the classes in Mexico. And I used to go for a month because, you know, here everything was locked down. So I went to Mexico for a month and I had only one girl who was working for me at the time. And I was controlling everything because I was doing everything by myself. And I built this business and that was my in my head. So I left and she had no other choice but just keeping the business going. And it was really good for both of us because one thing I could see that she's able to handle everything when I'm not around. And the other thing is I really had to just every single day let go of my control because I wasn't here. And it was so good for me. It happened to us a couple of times, like sometimes during Christmas that she was doing everything and I wasn't around. And every time I was choosing that, it was really scary by the way, just not, you know, I was responding to all the emails and messages and providing all the invoicing. And then I was, at some point, I was like, I can't do this. I need some break. Otherwise, I like my body was dying from this doing, the constant state of doing. And when I was like, okay, I'm out for a week, it was scary. I was like, even my business is going to be gone by I'm coming back. I'm doing this. And every time I did that, my business grew so much. So much.
Well, and it's like, and that's where we, you know, for a lot of us, we do that thing of, we tend to stop there. And my question is when that thing comes up that kind of feels like fear, is, you know, is it fear, or is it just that we can't define it? You know, and if we look at anything that kind of shows up as that energy is beyond what we can define, beyond what we can control, beyond what basically takes us out of that comfort of our lives, but also the predictability of our future. And I know for me, that's also when my life expands a lot quicker. My life expands a lot quicker. But what I want to say more is, I know for me personally that I'm growing more as a, just this, I don't know how to put it into words, but it's kind of like more of just that sense of knowing, being me, really. Like when I get that growth in my world of just like, oh, you know, like kind of like, you know, you get greater every day. It might not be quite necessarily showing up from the outside yet, but you're like, oh, I'm really fucking proud of who I am. You know, I like myself more today. That part there, I mean, who doesn't want a bit more of that?
Yeah.
You know, but also, anyway, blah, blah. I kind of lost my train of thought there, which was wonderful. So there you go. Like yourself more.
Can you talk about a little bit more about this body thing? So what happens in the body class, and what can show up? Because for me, when I took my first body class, I was going there because my body was dying from my choices. Like I was always working and doing, but I never take time for my body, or just to relax or just be or nurture. And then I went to the class, and my body doesn't necessarily changed, but my life did.
Yeah.
And it was like, what?
Yeah.
So what is that?
Well, that's the communion that you can have between both of them when you're actually willing to listen to your body. So it's like, because we see, one of the things that we tend to do a lot is we look for instant gratification. So it's like, well, I went on a diet last week. Why hasn't my whole body changed? Like, why isn't everything that I'm still in judgment of gone away yet? You know, like, give it a break. Jesus Christ, can you be any more impatient? But it's like, here's the deal, is our point of view creates our bodies, right? So if you have a point of view about disease, and you will use that point of view to lock that into your body, which is basically creates the beginnings of disease. We do the same thing in our lives. So our lives, the point of view you take about you and your life, any point of view you have is what's creating the world that you live in currently. So you come along to a body class, you might change something with your body that hasn't really started showing up yet, or hasn't, you know, you don't get that instant gratification, but it actually starts changing in your world as well. Once again, the thing I love about the body classes is it really is about tapping into the magic that you actually have available, and what you truly have the capacity to create with. You know, one of the body processes in there, or I don't think it's in the 3-day anymore, might be cellular memory, which is kind of a basic process, but it's basically it's cellular memory, point of creation, turn, which is basically, you know, you might have an injury, for example, scar tissue, something you've injured in your body. Well, it's the trauma that the trauma that our cells lock in place at the time of that trauma that don't actually allow it to change. So it's this change in the energy of the cell structure in your body is actually what allows your body to begin to change. So the things that, and I've seen different things where people have been able to heal things in their bodies based on their willingness to change their point of view with it. I remember, just a quick story on this. I remember I was with this person years and years ago, and I pulled something out of the oven and really burnt my hand. I was just like, and my hand was so red. And she was like, hey, let me hold it. And she'd been doing access and, and using these body processes and stuff. And she held my hand, and I was just like, kind of just like forgot about it. I wasn't like, well, that's not going to work. I was just like, oh, let's see what happens. She did this for like 30 minutes or something in my hand. She took her hands off and I had no blisters. And I was like, there's been many things like that for me in my world where I really have to go, wow, we really are capable of a lot more than we give ourselves credit for. So what do you know about creating with your body? And there's this book. I mean, there's a lot of body processes in there, and each and every one of them are.
So what happens in a 3-day body class?
You lay down, shut up.
Love it. I need to go there.
You have to put up with me or one of the other amazing 3-day body facilitators. But basically, you get, we talk about different things, and you bring up, a lot of people have stuff that they'll come to class to handle, whatever it is going on in your body. So people will bring up that stuff, and, you get paired up with somebody and you run these processes. And, it's really cool to watch, like, people come and they're like, well, I don't know how to do this. Okay. Well, what if you do? And, and I remember when I did that too, and it was like, I remember, I put my hands on someone and start asking for these different energies to come up. And it was like, wow, and you could you perceive it the way that you perceive it. And like I said, it's change. Change really doesn't have to take a lot of effort, but we tend to make it that way. So it's really cool to watch the, people change over 3 days, and people's bodies change, and see the gift they get out of it. But, and they have to put up with me. So there you go.
I love those. I was doing access tools for many years. And one day someone asked me how many times I have my bars run a week. I'm like, week? I'm like, I haven't had my bars run for months. And they're like, what? And someone asked me, it's like, I wonder what your life be like if you had your bars run. And I was like, oh, I wonder. And so I started going on bars sessions with someone. And so I do every week 1 bar session and 1 body process now. And my body changes big time. Yeah. I'm so much more relaxed with my body. And like something changes. I don't have words, so I can't really describe what happens. But it's amazing. And so when people go to a body class, then they would be able to give body processes to other people.
Yep. After that, you become you can be a body process practitioner, which basically means you can play around, practice these processes, run them on people. You might have a friend who's done the class also, and that people set up trades all around the place. And, one of the processes in this 3-day body class that's been really valuable in the world has been, a lot of people had a lot of reaction to the vaccine. A lot of people had to get that vaccine. A lot of people got that vaccine. And a lot of people have had side effects from it. Well, we have a process in there that people use also to create whatever change that they can create in their bodies with that. So it's just different things. And
that's so cool. I needed to get the vaccine because I was going to Ecuador back then. And a month before my flight, I got the email that I need a vaccine to enter Ecuador. And I was so upset, but I did it anyway. I was like, I don't care. And I was doing body processes and I had nothing, zero problem, no effects and anything in my body. So that works amazingly.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So I highly suggest that process too, if you've if you've noticed differences with your body with that.
And when is your class?
My class starts on Friday.
Friday in Budapest.
In Budapest.
Oh my God.
Yep.
And what what are the prereqs for the class?
Prereqs for the class is foundation. So you have to have done a foundation class, I think, in the last 12 months. But I'm sure we can, and we'll put a link in here for you guys if you want to check it out, sign up or get some more info. But I kind of wish I was just going to the class. I'm jealous of you all who are coming that get to just get body work. No,
you need some body work?
I'm like, well, I want 3 days of body work.
Wow, that's amazing. There's anything you would add?
I think I'm good. We've been talking for like,
we are talking for an hour now.
I know, there you go.
You are talking for an hour. I haven't even say anything. Thank you very much. I'm so glad to listen for you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you all.
And come to class.
We hope to meet you somewhere someday around this beautiful world.
Yes, yes. And enjoy your body and yourself. There is any tools you would give for tonight? Give something.
Well, it's like
what we should do after this live, like which would nurture or change or do something.
Yeah, well, I would say ask that question. What could I do? What could I do today for my body that would be a gift? Like, what would actually be nurturing for my body? And thanks for asking that too, because it's like, here's one of the things is we'll get on something like this. You'll hear these different tools and they'll be like, oh my God, like that was great. Kind of lightens your world up a bit. And you're like, oh wow, I feel kind of more. Anyone feel a little bit more connected to their body right now?
Yes.
Notice that.
See that I'm just touching myself?
Yeah, I know this with myself also, but that's you choosing it based on your willingness to be more present. Here's the deal, is we'll look at something, we'll watch a live or something like that, and they'll be like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like, I feel way more connected with my body now, And then you'll get off it and go back to doing the same thing. Don't do that, okay? Go from this space to, okay, so wow, even for the next 30 minutes, what would be really nurturing for my body? Even if it's just sitting there with like, you could do that. Put your hands on your face and just lightly put your hands on your face. And you could do this in the morning when you wake up too, like when you're laying in bed and just put your hands on your face and just notice your body. Notice your hands on your face, but also notice those sensations in your body. Notice the sheets on you and breathe and actually be aware of that breath. That alone will get you to be a lot more present. And then what would it be like if you're a lot more nurturing with your body? I would highly recommend taking an hour a day to do something that is nurturing for you and your body, and 1 day a week. So there's my tool. Do it.
Oh, I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Brendon. Thank you, guys. And don't forget.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing that, everyone. I'm so grateful.
Yeah, me too. We should do this more often.
We should.
Yeah. Do you guys want us to come up and talk? Do you want me to invite Brendon sometimes again? No, you don't want to see him anymore, right? Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for Anna, who is translating.
You,
yes, thank you so much. And don't forget, we are going to have the Hungarian translation and also this recording up to my YouTube and also SoundCloud, so you guys can go back and listen to it. It's amazing. Oh, Viola is here. See? Oh. Thank you, guys. Have a good night. Mwah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.